Stress management is so important to team experience and patient experience because it really affects our quality of life, our overall health and wellness. It really affects how we show up for work, how we show up for our teams, how we show up for our colleagues and our patients. Not only does it affect our individual health, including our mind and body, it also affects our clinic or the group that we're a part of, as well as our organization. And as we leave our work, it affects our home and it affects our community. So it's so important that we have specific stress management tactics and strategies that we use over time to make sure that we are managing those daily stressors in an effective way.
Empowering the patient experience. I'm your host, Kwame Ajiman. Continue the focus. Well, hello and welcome to the Continuing the Focus Patient Experience podcast. It is here that we touch on and highlight subjects that empowers the patient experience. But first, in order to do that, we first must empower one another. Now, this is season 2, episode number 4. In this episode, we're going to touch on the subject on stress management or managing stress. We have a special guest with us today. We have Oluyinka Ajirotutu, and she is going to let us know. I have questions for us lined up for her, of course, and she's going to give us some insight as it relates to stress management. But I want to read a little bit about Yinka. From here, we'll call her Yinka, but her name is Oluyinka, but for short is Yinka. Yinka has 15 years of experience in healthcare operations and consulting. She has previously worked at top organizations such as Booz, Allen, Hamilton, and Mayo Clinic. She joined Emory Healthcare in 2017 and serves as an administrator of clinical operations and primary care. Yinka, how are you today?
I'm great, Kwame. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Definitely happy to have you here. So just so those who are viewing or listening in can know, there's just a background. I was able to sit in on one of Yinka's presentations on stress management, and I was blown away, just being reminded of some of the things that we can be on the lookout for and some of the things that we can actually do to help combat stress that we may have in our lives. So today, I reached out to Yinka and I said, we have to have you on because I want our guests to hear more about that and for me even to be refreshed on things to do to manage stress. So Yinka, are you ready to lay it out for us?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. So as it relates to team experience and patient experience, why is stress management important?
Yeah, great question. So first off, Kwame, I just want to again say thank you so much for having me. I love the mission of empowering each other as well as empowering ourselves. And I think that's so spot on with regards to the topic of stress management. So just to level set, I really wanted to share the definition of stress. So stress is the body's natural defense. I just want to make note that it is natural to have stress. Typically that natural defense is against danger and predators and having this natural feeling of not being able to cope with specific demands or events. And often we will feel that stress in little and big issues within our lives. So little issues could be traffic, which we all know the Atlanta traffic can produce stress. Running late for meetings, those are often considered like episodic stress. So different episodes of stress that happen throughout the day. There are also big stressors, such as the holidays that are upon us, or even getting some concerning news around a health diagnosis, or living and working through a pandemic. Those can also be categorized as acute stress. And often what happens is when episodic and acute stress is not managed very well, it can turn into chronic stress. And that is just consistent stress that you put your body and mind through over time. And so resilience, which we're going to talk a lot about today, is the process of adapting well in the face of stress. And the way I like to think about resilience is it's like a muscle. So when you first start lifting weights, you might struggle. And then as you start to grow stronger, you build that muscle as you continue to build those habits of stress management and how to manage stress effectively. And so that is really the key when it comes to stress management, is building those stress management habits, those tips, those tricks that you can use consistently throughout your day. Stress management is so important to team experience and patient experience because it really affects our quality of life, our overall health and wellness. It really affects how we show up for work, how we show up for our teams, how we show up for our colleagues and our patients. Not only does it affect our individual health, including our mind and body, it also affects our clinic or the group that we're a part of, as well as our organization. And as we leave our work, it affects our home and it affects our community. So it's so important that we have specific stress management tactics and strategies that we use over time to make sure that we are managing those daily stressors in an effective way.
Wow. So, and I can tell already, just based on your first answer, your first response, we are in for a ride. So we're gonna get to some of those tactics in a minute. I want to know this: what are some examples of warning signs as it relates to chronic stress?
Yeah, so definitely chronic stress is very concerning. I want to talk just a little bit about some of the symptoms of the daily stressors we have, because they do often build into some of those warning signs as it relates to chronic stress. So you maybe have felt during your daily stressors, perhaps your muscles are getting tight, perhaps in your back or your neck, shoulders. That often can be a sign of stress. Maybe you'll have a nervous stomach. You'll be irritable, withdrawn. You may have difficulty concentrating or difficulty sleeping. Those are often the daily signs that we see with regards to stress. And when we have issues of chronic stress over time, it can develop into anxiety or depression. It also can develop into chronic illness or disease. It also puts a lot of damage on our heart. Another sign of chronic stress is weight gain, obesity, premature aging, as well as a weakened immune system. And so sometimes you'll see people that are constantly under stress. They're often sick and just struggle with having energy. And that can also be a sign of chronic stress. And I will share very transparently that I have experienced several of the different symptoms of chronic stress. So previously in my career and in my personal life, I did not handle stress very well. I would often experience many of those daily symptoms that I shared, and I did not have a good stress management plan or tactics or strategies or really anything to combat that. And as a result, in 2018, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I just remember being extremely devastated. And I knew something had to change. And so I really credit God. I credit the amazing Emory physicians that I had for a lot of the improvements that I've had. And I also thirdly credit the lifestyle changes, many of those that we're going to talk about today, for the improvements that I've seen over the last several years. So I am just really grateful to share that as far as levels with regards to this chronic illness, they're back to normal. And from my specialist perspective, I am, as they said, cured or in remission, however you want to look at it. I'll continue to be tested in the upcoming months. But I share that story just to give a personal side to this and a personal side to what I will share, that it is extremely important that we manage stress appropriately and understand that it does have long-term effects on our mind and body when it's not done so.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. So you're coming from, I guess you would say, experience, or you're coming from a place where you actually lived it. So
Absolutely.
Okay. You mentioned a stress management plan. I heard you said that maybe 3 or 4 times. I caught on to that.
Mhm.
So, stress management plan. What does a stress management plan look like, and why is that important?
Right. Great point. So we are all extremely busy. I think everyone watching can relate that it just feels like there's not enough time in the day to do everything that we want to do. And so it's just been shown that when we have a proactive plan for anything, you're more than likely to do it, right? If it's a pie in the sky, I'm going to do it. There's no time associated, no resources allocated. It often doesn't get done. So I am very much a person that definitely encourages individuals to put together a stress management plan. And it can be quite simple. The key is just to have something that you've written down, even on a napkin, that you can refer to that speaks to how you are going to manage stress on a consistent basis. And I always encourage people to think about what you can do consistently, right? You want to keep that same energy. So you want to think about what you can do daily, weekly, or even monthly to manage stress. So create the time, allocate the resources, and make sure that you have a plan in place, and it will just make sure that you're more than likely to execute that plan. And so a couple tips that I give individuals who are new to this is your stress management plan is going to look very different than mine and also look much more different than Kwame's. It really is important that your stress management plan is personal to you and that you have activities, strategies on your plan that are actively going to manage stress for you. Also would encourage you to be intentional about managing that stress. And then often stress can be very heavy. It can be very tiring. And so you want to make sure that your plan is light. Your plan is enjoyable for you because you're really using this to build your resilience and to also combat the stress in your life. And then lastly, I always encourage incorporating family and friends. We're more likely when we bring our community into our different plans and strategies that we're actually going to get it done. And it also helps to have an accountability partner. Just with anything in life, when you've got someone alongside you that's either doing it with you or is someone that you can share your progress with or will also hold you accountable to what you said you'll do, it definitely helps to ensure that you actually do execute and can complete it in a successful way.
So being intentional, accountability, and also keeping it light, being consistent.
Yes.
Good, that's good. So would you say, as far as a stress management plan, is that different from a self-care plan? And if so, or even if they are married in certain ways, what is an example of a self-care plan in light of managing stress?
Yeah, great question. So self-care, I would say, is very much a stress management plan. So self-care has gotten, I feel, a bad rap. I think it's now beginning to turn around as we are in desperate need, as we have been living and working through this pandemic. But often self-care has been connected with someone being selfish or individuals feeling guilty about spending time and resources on themselves. But I would really like to change that narrative, and I do believe it's changing, that self-care is actually taking care of ourselves as well as others. So to your earlier point, that as we take care of ourselves, we have the ability to empower, take care of, and support others. And so one of my favorite self-care routines that I encourage others to start with is a morning routine. So morning routines really help to lower stress. They help to improve productivity. They help to actually improve cognitive function. And so having a successful morning routine can mean before you open the email, before you unlock the phone, you put yourself first. You engage in consistent activities every morning that put you first. And what's great about when you put yourself first, everything afterward, whether it be work or spending time with your family or doing housework, whatever's next will be affected by you putting yourself first. And one concept of a morning routine I really love is so much of our day is directed by meetings or appointments or other things that we have to do throughout our day. But when you have a morning routine, you direct your day. You start off your day by directing your day rather than responding to it. So it is a proactive response to stress management rather than reactive. So before the stressors might come throughout your day, you're already pouring into yourself. So you're already filling yourself up first with whatever activities actually will bring you peace and prepare you for the stressors of the day. So some examples of those activities could be prayer, could be stretching, reading, positive affirmations, exercise, meditating, really any of those could work. And I know morning routines can be a little overwhelming for those that may not have done it before. I would challenge those individuals, start with 15 minutes. Start with 15 minutes at the beginning of your day, and you can go from there. But just finding something that's really going to bring you some peace, some calm in the day before you actually get started can help your stress immeasurably. So definitely want to encourage looking into morning routines as a good self-care starter.
Perfect. Amazing. Amazing even. So are you a morning person?
I am working on being a morning person. I'm working on it. So I have a morning routine, but I am working on consistently being a morning person. I wasn't naturally one, but I honestly think it makes me excited to get out of bed when I'm doing something that I really love first thing.
Right, right. And I can, to echo what you're saying, or to tag onto what you're saying, from experience, I'm naturally a morning person, but I have noticed that although I can wake up at 5, 4:30 sometimes, I know that's kind of extreme, but 4:30 is, if I wake up that early, is to actually do an activity to get the day started. Like how you mentioned, being proactive with the day and not merely reacting to the day.
Yes.
I have noticed for me that when I get up early and I maybe get some breakfast or something like that, kind of start work without proactively getting to the day, there's a difference in my responses. There's a difference in as far as me being agile compared to being proactive, working out in the morning. You mentioned prayer, you mentioned reading, like things like that, like to get the day started. I notice the difference when I do those type of things. I'm more proactive in other activities.
Exactly.
Reactive. So that's good. That's really good. That's good. So what's one of your go-to activities? You mentioned that you're working on being a morning person. You mentioned a list of activities, but I want to hear from you. What's one of your favorite activities?
Right. So one of my favorite daily activities is exercise. So I try to move my body daily, and I encourage as a great stress management strategy for everyone to move your body daily, whether it be stretching or walking, running, dancing, just challenging yourself to move your body daily. And I know that can be a struggle. Now that we have shorter days, oftentimes we may come into work and the sun has not yet risen, and then we leave work and the sun has already gone down. So it can be challenging, but again, that's where the plan comes in to find out, what you can do. There's so many great workout videos or opportunities, whether it be online or different opportunity systems that we have now available to us where we can work out from home. So I would just encourage everyone to think about, how do I move my body daily, even if I might not be able to get outside. And so when you are moving daily, you're really investing in your body and investing in ensuring that your body continues to grow and also have an opportunity to just relieve that tension and stress from the day. Exercise makes sleep so much easier. There's so many positive effects on anxiety and depression that have been studied. It regulates our body systems. And one concept I really love is called meditation in motion, which I think is really a powerful concept, that it really just calms the mind down when you're exercising. I can't tell you how many times I've gone for a run and I was stressed at the beginning of that run, and I completed the run and could not even remember what I was stressed about. Or if I could remember it, it just felt different. It didn't feel the worry or the concern that I felt prior to the run. So I do think, whatever that exercise is for you that brings you peace and calm, do that. But I do think it's important to start something, and then over time it becomes easier to do. Mm-hmm.
So at Emory, just in case people are wondering, where can they find certain resources at Emory as relates to managing stress? Are there any Emory-based resources that you would like to highlight on this subject?
Absolutely. So one thing that I've really loved is actually on the home screen right now is that Emory has consolidated all of their resources into one document, resiliency resources that you can review. So there's lots of great resources. You can ask a registered dietitian. There's monthly sessions where a dietitian presents and provides information regarding healthy eating. We've got Embrace Peer Support, where you can talk to a peer about any issues or challenges. We also have BHS, which has immediate 24/7 counselor support for you and your household. And the last one that I'm not sure all are aware of, but is excellent, Tim Cunningham has a podcast called Resiliency Hacks, which is awesome. I've seen a few of those episodes. And so would definitely encourage everyone to take a look at that as well. And those are all listed within the consolidated resiliency resources that Emory provides.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. They gave me something to add on to my library to check into as well. So thank you for that. So for you, outside of Emory, what are some go-to resources for you on the subject of stress management?
Definitely. I do enjoy reading books about building habits. Some of those great books are Atomic Habits by James Clear. That's a great book that talks about building habits. And as we mentioned, stress management is definitely a habit. And then another one I really like is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
I've heard
and
that.
Yes, that's a great one. And then the last thing I'll share is just the use of YouTube for meditation or different ideas around morning routines or stress management. And there's so many great apps as well, such as Headspace or Talk Therapy. And there's also ones that help with like building morning routines. There's lots of great resources out there that you can use to manage stress.
Wow. Okay. So, Yinka, before we end our time today, I have one more question for you. Is there a quote or a motto that you live by as relates to combating stress or stress management? Anything you would like to share on that end?
Sure. So a principle that I live by and that I would love to share is around remembering your why. So oftentimes when we are stressed, when we're burnt out or overwhelmed, we can get very focused on what's happening right in that moment. And it can be very overwhelming. But I always, and I've been working on this again, I am also partnering and walking right alongside everyone with regards to managing my stress as well. But it's a quality that I've sought to develop, which is taking a step back and looking at the big picture and remembering the why, and really bringing meaning to what you're doing, because there often is a great deal of meaning in what we're doing, but it can be forgotten when we're distracted by stress. So remembering why you do what you do, remembering why you show up every day for the patients, remembering, what this profession means to you, can really help to just focus you and also just help to calm you in remembering the big picture. And always taking a deep breath. A deep breath is great for calming and centering and just, bringing the heart and the blood pressure to a normal state. And then I would also say the last quote is my 5x5 rule, which says, if it won't matter in 5 years, then I'm only going to take 5 minutes to worry about it.
Wow. And I'm not just saying wow, just say it, I really mean it, because I'm taking in what you're saying and thinking about others who we are called to serve, our team members, and how we can come alongside with them, and those who may be hearing this, who will be encouraged and empowered even from hearing what's being said. So be consistent, be intentional, accountability, know your why, take it light, take it a day at a time, utilize resources, get third-party individuals to hear you, to take in what you're saying. Also, if it doesn't matter, if it doesn't stress you out in 5 years, take only 5 minutes to think about it.
That's right.
So yeah, this is great. This is great. And I can hear it in your tone that you will also, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but correct me if I'm wrong, with this, we will also need to make sure that we are showing ourselves grace as we pace through this. I think you would agree with that, correct?
Absolutely.
We have to show ourselves grace. For example, if you're having issues waking up in the morning, I want to set this goal to wake up and do it. And you say you oversleep, you're not able to actually do the routine. Show yourself grace. Get back to it when you can. Use that accountability partner if you can, when you can, and just get back into the race. Know that people care for you. We're here for one another, and we're here for each other and our patients. So I really think that this is something that we need to be reminded.
Absolutely.
So Yinka, thank you so much, meaning from the bottom of my heart, for joining the podcast today. With that, I just want to let you know that for each episode for season 2, we are gifting each one of our guests with a special little gift from the podcast. So you will get your very own Continuing the Focus.
Oh, I love that.
Coffee mug. And we have our mascot right here. So this is something you can enjoy if you want to get you some coffee when you wake up at 4:30 in the morning or 5, whatever time you wake up to start your day, to proactively attack your day, or your tea, whatever you want to do. You can use that, and we'll get that sent to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been honestly a privilege. Thank you for allowing me and inviting me to join you.
For sure. And like I said, I knew after I heard your presentation, I said, you know what? I want more people to hear what Yinka has to say on this subject. And so thank you for actually coming on to share your heart on this and your experience even with it. So thank you. All right. Again, thank you, Yinka, for joining us on the Continuing the Focus Patient Experience podcast. I'm sure everyone who will have a chance to listen in or view this episode will be encouraged, empowered, and edified to continue the focus. So until then, everyone, continue to serve one another, continue to serve our patients, and continue the focus. Take care.
Bye.